Good evening, parents, and I am really sorry for the delay. I've had a couple of issues with the camera, and I do hope I'm able to do justice to whatever it is that we are setting out to achieve this evening. I thank you for your patience, and I will try my best to make this have been worth your while. I'm Piya Marker. I am a certified parent coach. I have a master's in special education. I've been in the field of education for the last 27 years. And I've worked as the founding principal of Mumbai's first school for children with learning disabilities, started in 2003, and have now decided to shift my focus from helping children directly to helping parents help their children. So in that endeavor and in collaboration with the VIBGYOR Group of Schools, I present to you a topic which is mindful parenting, you and your teens together. So welcome to being the parent of a teenager, and prepare for large amounts of eye rolling, emotional outbursts, and thoughts of running away. And that's just the parents. So parenting teens is actually quite challenging. Because the two phases in childhood, which are the most dynamic and the ones that have the most change, is parenting toddlers and parenting teens, because this is when the brain goes through the most amount of changes. So everything that you're going through with your teenager is not because you are a bad parent, because your child has decided to make your life miserable, or that your child is the only teenager behaving like this. It is very normal. And the minute we understand what is normal and what is not, it becomes easier for us to kind of take these changes in our stride and to be more positive about the way our children are actually transitioning from childhood into the teen years. Next, please. So what do you miss the most now as a parent of a teenager? Do you miss the cuddles? Do you miss the fact that your child wanted to show you everything and talk to you about everything, and they wanted to play with you and they couldn't get enough of you, and they just loved being with you every minute? What do you miss the most? Put some of your feelings in the chat. Tell me what you miss the most about your child before they became a teenager. Waiting to see some responses. If you want, I'll start by saying what I miss the most is the long conversations. Now I get a few grunts, I get a yes, I get a no. I sometimes just have to understand the body language. So I miss the long conversations, the non-stop talking, things like that. So let me know what you miss the most. All right, I've got one person who says the one-word answer only now. So I think that's something that's universal for all teenagers. You get one-word answers, you sometimes get a grunt, you get an eye roll, you get all sorts of things, but not the conversations that we used to have. And I'm going to share with you why this happens. Next, please. So from the ages up to 10, our children are in a pre-adolescent phase. They go through all of this. So the main part of their lives is childhood, and with childhood comes dependence. They need us for everything. They want to share everything with us. They don't want to do anything their own. They want mom, they want dad. They love that feeling of depending. Then they have these unbridled emotions. They're happy, they are just joyous, they are they enjoy life to the fullest. They are happy to just wear their hearts on their sleeve. They're the center of the family. They love being center of attention. They come and they share stuff. They talk to you about stuff. They are, happy to be in the center of all family functions and everything. They're fearless. They will try new things. They're not scared of consequences. They are happy to try things that even you suggest. They're happy to, explore different things. They're very social. They are happy when they go to birthday parties. They can mingle with just about anybody, and they're just happy to be happy. So what changes when our children become adolescents? Next, please. So the first step or the first change that happens with children who are at a preteen teenage phase, which is right from the age of 11, is they start moving away from childhood. They don't want to have anything to do with things that are childlike anymore. And suddenly you wonder, what has happened to my kid? I mean, they loved doing this earlier. Now they're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. They want to move away from everything that seemed to be very, very childlike. They want to try and do things that are more grown up. They want to have autonomy, they want to have independence, they want to show that I'm not a baby anymore. It's not what I like. I mean, I like new things. I like to try new things. I don't need the support and the help. Let me do it on my own. Don't keep telling me what to do. And this is why this happens, or why we hear those words, is because they are trying to move away from childhood. And while they move away from childhood, and while we think they're moving away from us, what happens is they're actually moving in search of their people. The teenage years are all about them finding themselves and them finding their tribe or their people. And we will find like there is a big transition in their social dynamics. Somebody who's been a friend right from a primary section, or a family friend, or even a cousin, or somebody who they were very, very bonded to when they were younger, they suddenly start looking for different people. They start growing into different people, and we also wonder what's going on. Like, you were fine earlier, and it's not that there is a conflict, or there's not that there is a problem, but sometimes they just start looking for somebody who makes them feel more like themselves. So that is a very, very integral part of the preteen, teen years, where they start searching for their people. And in that, there is a big change in their social dynamics. It's a big change in their emotions, because while they are searching for their people, so are their peers. And sometimes what happens is everybody trying to find their place in their social world, some relationships get outgrown, some get stronger, some fall apart, and that becomes very, very stressful and challenging for some children. So these are the causes of their preoccupation, their irritation, sometimes a lot of their personality changes. They're trying very hard to fit in and find their people. So there are a lot of changes in them. They're trying to figure out, who am I? Where do I fit in? And that brings us to the next one, which is reining in emotions. Now, when your child is going through all of these things, they are trying to harness their emotions. They are going through disappointment, they are going through self-doubt, they are going through personality changes, they are going through bodily changes, and they don't sometimes like how they are developing, or they are feeling, very, very hormonal, or their moods are going up and down. And it becomes a challenge for them to start reining in their emotions. So what we see as a child who's throwing tantrums, banging doors, shouting, fighting, it's not about us. It's about them just trying their best to kind of harness all the emotions. Conflicting with adult authority is the next thing that happens. You'll find that your child has always been very, very compliant. Your child has always listened to you, and suddenly they're conflicting with things. They are conflicting with what a teacher says. They have a problem with the way a teacher said something. They have a problem with the way you say something. And this happens because in this part of development, it is very, very normal for them to conflict with adult authority. And while this is normal, it is important for us to also understand that we need to guide this. They can't get into this zone of constantly just fighting with the adults around them or having a problem with everybody around them. But the need to do it, or the desire to do it, does not come from disrespect. It comes from a normal part of development where it says, I'm also growing up. You don't need to tell me always what to do. So there is always that clash that comes in. And this is why we tend to have more clashes and more fights with our teenage children. Then there's this whole thing of planning for the future, where as they are, in the middle teens, or as they're older teens, they start thinking of, where will I go and study? Where will I go and live? What kind of subject should I choose? What career options do I have? How successful am I? All of these thoughts and things start coming in. So that also actually puts some kind of pressure on their emotional state, their self-confidence, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their peers and the world around them. And the most normal, natural thing that happens in this phase is the discovery of the opposite gender. where they start feeling, an attraction to somebody. And then we feel like, this is not the age for you to be behaving like this or feeling like that. So it is first for us as parents to understand what is normal and what is not, and then guiding them towards how they can express these feelings in an age appropriate way or in a, respectful way. And we ultimately want all our children to reach the last point, which is self-reliance. We want them to be reliant on themselves. We want them to be independent. We want them to be able to solve problems, to make decisions, to be able to trust themselves when things are happening, how to make, quickly change, how to bounce back. So that is what a child goes through actually right from the ages of 11 up to 19. And it's a lot of changes that they go through. And we just happen to be there. They are not doing all the things that they are doing just to get back at us. Okay, we are the closest proximity to them. So we become collateral damage. So while it becomes very, very, challenging for us as parents to parent teenagers, it is important for us to understand that if we first acknowledge that all these things are normal, then we don't get stressed. Our ego doesn't come in. We are not parenting our child from, ego or, we're not getting into that battle with them about, no, I'm the parent, you're the child, you have to listen to me. You understand where they're coming from. And then you learn how to give and take. It becomes, you learn which battles to pick, which battles to let go, when something is normal, when something is not. And that will lead me into the next one with you. Next, please. So what is normal and what is not? I would like each of you to please participate in this and let me know the first one. Talking back and arguing. Is it normal? Just write a yes or a no in the chat box, please. Wanting to be in their space all the time. Is it normal or not normal? Being more interested in their peers than being interested in family, siblings, all the other things that they were so involved in the past. Is that normal or is that not? Having rapidly changing moods. Are mood swings normal for a teenager? Getting easily offended by the way you've said something, by the way a teacher's corrected them, by the way a peer talks to them. Is that normal? Is it normal to suddenly try to understand what is their identity? Like, this is my style. I love this music. I like my hair like this. I like, to dress like that. I like, to conduct myself in a particular way. Is this normal for them to kind of explore who they are and how they should present themselves? Is it normal to take a few harmless risks, like even as simple as not doing homework to see what happens for a child who is always super compliant? Is it normal for a child to want to try something new as long as it's not, dangerous or detrimental to them? Is this normal? Okay, I got a no for, I'm assuming, identity experimentation with hair, fashion, music, etc. Is that the, have I got a no for that one? Okay. And then having these big dreams, like they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to get this grade, they want to make it to the team, they want to, do everything, but the effort is inconsistent. Is it normal or is it not normal for teenagers? Next, please. So here are the red flags. So the previous slide, whatever you saw, those are actually all normal teenage behaviors. And it is something that we must allow them to do within reason. Now, when you see these things happening, these are your red flags. This is when you need to worry. This is when you need to know that you need to actually seek guidance, seek help. Your child needs help when you start seeing these things happen. So the first is when you see withdrawal for a long period of time, withdrawing socially, withdrawing from family settings, not wanting to do something, those are all normal. But if this continues for a long period of time, like for over a couple of weeks, going into a couple of months, it is not normal for a child to withdraw from their normal life for a long period of time. So if you see that happen, that is definitely a red flag or an indication for you that you need to do something about it. When you see a drastic drop in academics, now as our children are growing, they are going to higher and higher grades. Of course, the difficulty level is going to keep increasing. It is only but natural for them to kind of, maybe if a child got 90, will drop to maybe an 80, 85 till they readjust, that's fine. But if a child has dropped drastically, a kid who was earlier getting 75% is barely passing, somebody who was getting 90 has dropped, maybe two grades below. There is a drastic drop in academics for no reason that you can identify or your child can identify. That is your next red flag. So give your child a little time to adjust to a new grade, a new expectation, but most children adjust and settle in a couple of months. If you feel that your child has a drastic drop and is unable to cope, you need to figure out what the problem is or what the reason is behind it. While they are all searching for their tribe and their people, some children, they find their friends very easily. Some children get left out. If your child is socially isolated and doesn't have any friend or doesn't have anywhere that they feel that they belong, this is something that you need to also be a little bit concerned about and understand what is going on or what has changed. Your child has earlier had friends and suddenly people are not wanting to include your child or not inviting your child as often as she used to be or he used to be. Try to understand what is behind this. Now, having our children fight with us, get angry, get a little irritated every once in a while, that's normal, it's human. We are also like that. But if you see aggressive behavior where your child is behaving completely out of sorts, your child is unable to control their anger and their emotions, where in temper they break something, they throw something, they hit somebody, don't put it down as, oh, you know what, it's just teenage hormones and the child is just behaving like that. It is not normal for a child to be aggressive to that intensity. And if it is, you're seeing it happening in most situations, the child is having a difficulty reining in their emotions and their anger. So that is also something that you need to be concerned about. When your child has lost interest in most things, earlier your child, did cricket, or your child went for a dance class, your child liked listening to music, watching movies, suddenly your child has lost interest in everything. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. I don't feel like doing this. And you find that your child has lost interest in most things that they used to previously enjoy. And they're not replaced by new things. The child has just lost that interest or that love for life. You need to be a little bit concerned. Today's children, especially the girls, are very, very focused on having these skinny bodies. And that is because social media is actually their go-to, where they see people who they do not realize have been photoshopped or have very unhealthy lifestyles, because there's a certain beauty concept or a body concept, and these children start having eating troubles. And we do not recognize that eating disorders have come down as young as children who are 12 and 13 years old. So I'm not saying that you've got to stuff your child with food and you've got to make your child, eat all the time, but you've got to be aware that your child is taking in a balanced nutrition, your child is healthy. If your child is losing weight suddenly, or if you feel that your child is wearing oversized clothing to kind of hide their body because they've lost a lot of weight, or they're very skinny on the inside, or they are overeating because they are stressed, you need to be aware of it. You need to be aware of what is normal and what is extreme. Don't put it down as something that can be ignored, because eating disorders has become very, very common among young girls, and unfortunately among girls as young as 12 and 13. And this is where, then their hormones go for a toss. Puberty is a mess. When they get their period, it is very, very chaotic for them, because they are not having the right nutrition and their bodies are in a complete state of distress. Self-harm is also become, unfortunately, very, very common. So if you have a child who is, either threatening to harm themselves, or if you see, that your child is constantly wearing, long sleeves, or suddenly your child is wearing clothes that cover themselves up, Please try to be aware of if you see any marks or anything. Self-harm is not the way we think, where we are talking about just, taking a blade and cutting yourself. It could be poking yourself, it could be plucking your hair, it could be pinching yourself, it could be multiple things. So please be vigilant about your child and about whether you are seeing certain changes within them. When your child has anxiety or panic attacks, that is becoming more and more common. Okay, being stressed before an exam, being nervous before a test, before something big, all that is normal. And the anxiety passes. That is normal. We all go through it. But if your child is consistently feeling anxious, or your child gets worked up and there is breathlessness, or your child is getting very nervous and there are palpitations, or their blood pressure drops, so you feel your child's hands are very cold and they're very stressed, and this happens regularly, you need to understand why your child is going through this kind of a feeling. Now, earlier when we spoke about harmless risk-taking behaviors, where it was just as simple as, you know what, today I'm going to just try and dive off a diving board into the swimming pool, but a child who can swim and a child who earlier did, wouldn't jump off the diving board but now can. It's not unsafe, because already the basic skill of swimming your child has. Now, when your child has risky behavior, where they will decide to cut away from class, they will bunk and go somewhere else, unsafe experimentation, whether it is trying substances when they are young, if it is trying to dress in a particular way that is not appropriate for their age, trying unsafe experimentation, whether it is in relationships, whether it is with substances, you need to step in and figure out why this is happening, because today there are temptations everywhere, and unfortunately with the temptation, the access is very, very easy for our children. Things are available very easily. So we need to be far more vigilant and cognizant as parents today. So do not ignore any of these red flags if you see them. It is very, very crucial for us to be aware as parents and not think that, oh, you know what, this doesn't happen here. These are all very westernized concepts, and in India or over here, nothing like that. So we're going to go back to what's normal and what's not. So a child having daily anger outbursts, is it normal or is it not? The child having daily anger outbursts is not normal. Once in a while, we have an issue, we have a bad day. We all have those days where we lose control. That is absolutely fine. But if your child is having these emotions, strong emotions on a daily basis, that is definitely not normal. If your child wants to sit in their room with the door closed, is that normal or not normal for a teenager? That is normal for them to want to be in their space and to want to have some time alone and some privacy. There is nothing wrong with that, as long as, again, your child is not cut off from family and the world and, just living in that room of theirs. Now, if your child cuts off from friends for weeks, is that normal or is that not? So if a child cuts off from their friends for weeks, like let's say you have a fight with a friend or a disagreement with a friend, it's okay to kind of, not engage or want to be with those friends for a couple of days or sorting it out. But if you cut off from all friends for weeks, and your child prefers to be isolated and your child prefers to be a loner, those are also things that you need to be concerned about, especially if that is not what your child's personality used to be. Now, if your child wants to sleep in extra on weekends, wants to sleep a lot, these are also very, very normal. Stopping engaging with family, is it normal? And a lot of parents feel, you know what, they're teenagers now. They find it very boring to do family get-togethers and trips with families. Is it normal or is it not normal to want to stop engaging with family? So it is normal for them to want to stop engaging with family, but it is not normal for them to entirely move away from it. We need to teach them how to balance certain duties, in certain relationships with the family, and balancing that out with their friends. If your child has no connection to any old likes, old hobbies, or old friends, is that normal or is that something that you need to be concerned about? So having no connection to any old likes, hobbies, and friends is not entirely normal, unless, of course, it's been replaced by something new. So for example, if your child was earlier very, very fond of playing cricket and now they're playing football, that's absolutely fine. But if they have no like or no interest in anything to do with sport, that is something that you need to wonder, then what has changed and why is there this big shift or this big change? There is constant irritability and your child is on the edge, and your child, no matter what you say, they're ready to snap, or they're very feeling emotionally volatile and they want to cry and they get upset. What is the main problem here? That is something that we need to be concerned about. Having a few bad days is very normal. What we need to be aware of is a few bad days are all right, but something that continues over weeks or over months, that is something that is not normal, and we need to understand why that shift or why that change is taking place. Wanting to be on their phones all the time, I know it irritates every single parent of a teenager, but is it normal or is it not? So it is very normal for them to want to be on their phones because their phones connect them to the social world. Their phones are actually their reality. The digital world is their child's reality. So while your child is on their phones and it annoys us or it irritates us, you can set a few healthy boundaries around phone time, about it not being at the dining table when you're eating, when you're all in the car together and you're traveling together. Your child should not be disconnected and on their phone. Try to give them time where they can be on their phone alone and time when they need to engage with the people around them. Getting one word responses. I think when we started our presentation in the beginning, it was very, very clear that the one word responses was something that we were hearing all the way through. So one word responses is also very, very normal with teenage children. Next, please. So now with all of this, how do we parent them and still retain our sanity? Because usually parents of teenagers are the ones who are the most stressed and harrowed. So the first thing we need to do is focus on connection before correction. So we have so many things that we want to guide and we want to correct in our children, but we need to focus mainly on how to connect with them before we correct them. Think of yourself as a person or as an adult. When somebody corrects you, who are you most open to when someone is giving you feedback? It is somebody that you have a connection to. When somebody you don't really connect to says something to you, it makes you really upset or it hurts us and you feel like, how could they talk to me like that? How could they say that to me? But when you have a connection with someone, you totally understand them and you know that what their motivation is like. So if you want to be effective in correction, you have to start developing a deep connection with your child. Most important is we need to validate our child's emotions. A child is allowed to be angry, a child is allowed to be disappointed, jealous, envious, frustrated, all the negative emotions, all the emotions that make us all human. But what we need to do is we need to validate the emotion, say, yes, I know you're angry, but that doesn't mean that you can speak rudely to me. Or I know you're frustrated, but it doesn't mean that you have to throw that thing down or break it. So it is about understanding the feeling, but guiding your child's behavior. When you are enforcing a boundary, and boundaries are very, very important through the parenting journey, and more so during the teenage life. So we have to have very, very clear boundaries, fair boundaries, age-appropriate boundaries, but we must have boundaries. And when you are trying to enforce a boundary, because of course your teenage child is going to push the boundaries and try to get themselves out of a situation that's uncomfortable for them, you need to be calm but firm. You don't need to scream and shout and yell. You need to, in a very firm, calm way, say, I'm sorry, this is what needs to be done. And I know you're upset, but this is just how it has to be. You can still enforce the boundaries without getting dysregulated yourself. If you feel you're getting dysregulated and you are getting upset and you cannot control the situation, please take time out. There is no harm in telling your child, you know what, I think I need some time. I will come back and talk to you. Just give me a few minutes. I need to, collect my thoughts, collect myself and come back. Now, what this does is it does not show your child any weakness. It shows your child that you are human, and it also is an example for your child That when you are having emotions that you are finding it hard to manage, it is okay, even as an adult, to take time to recenter, regulate ourselves, and come back into a situation rather than us react. When we are regulated, we respond. When we are dysregulated, we react. And most often, when we react, we regret the way we have spoken or behaved. So it's very, very important for us to remember this. If your child is dysregulated and your child is in a bad mood, or your child is having a meltdown or a tantrum, give them time to regulate themselves. Say, looks like you need some time. Why don't you take some time? Go for a shower, go for a run, listen to some music, take some time out, and we'll talk about this in some time. It doesn't mean that you let them go. You will address the issue or address the problem, but you will do it when the child is more positive, or when the child has regulated their nervous system, so that they are more open to understanding what it is that you're trying to say. With a teenage child primarily, don't lecture them. Don't let it be a one-way talk where you are just telling them everything that you want them to do. Talk to them, understand, why did you do this? What were you thinking when you said that? What were you expecting to happen? Try to converse with them rather than just interrogate them or accuse them. That will make them feel more comfortable, and it will also teach you how your child thinks, how your child problem solves, and you will be able to then guide your child appropriately. Use these opportunities to understand how your child thinks. That, okay, this is how my child thought, because when this happened, this conflict with a friend, this is what he said, or this is what she said. And you ask your child, what made you say this? And your child will explain to you what made them say it. Or they'll say, you know what, I don't know why I said it. This will give you an understanding that your child is impulsive, or your child has thought something through, or your child has a different way of doing things. This will guide you to understand your child better. When you are having moments of frustration as a parent, or you feel they're not able to do anything, you feel as a failure, and we all do feel like that. Please remember, you are human. Just because you are the parent, you do not need to always have it under control. You are a human being. Give yourself grace, give yourself time, give yourself some kind of space to kind of recollect yourself and come back in to handle the situation that has made you feel overwhelmed. And most of all, please remember that even if your child is 18 or 19 or however old they are, please remember that they are still learning. They are still actually children who are still developing and learning. So as long as they learn from their mistakes, they're not making the same mistakes over and over again. And I tell my children this: make a new mistake every day if you want, but don't repeat the old ones. Learn from the old mistakes. So please remember that they are still learning. Give them and yourself some grace when these things happen. Next, please. The most important thing, and unfortunately here in India, when you think a parent is taking time off for themselves, oh my God, they're so selfish. It's your job as a parent to take care of your child, especially the mothers, especially the women. So please remember to first take care of yourself. The minute you are feeling whole on the inside, you are feeling more positive, you will be able to take whatever challenges come your way. Remember that taking care of yourself is not selfish. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are feeling, burnt out, or you are feeling stressed, you're not going to be able to give the best of yourself to your child. So please focus on giving yourself self-care. Self-care does not necessarily mean hours and hours of spa therapy or going off on a holiday. You can indulge in self-care every day. Just a few minutes a day, do something that helps you recenter, helps you energize, whether it is listening to music, whether it is going for a walk, whether it's an extra long shower, whether it is waking up 10 minutes earlier and having that cup of tea or coffee in peace. Whatever it is, do what it is that you need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your child. Avoid making these to-do lists and I have to do this, I have to do that. It's okay. Some days you can do 10 out of 10, some days you'll do 2 out of 10, and you should be okay with that. And if you need to do to-do lists, keep it realistic. Like I said, sometimes it's all right to achieve less. We don't have to achieve everything every day. That's absolutely fine. Learn to reset your own nervous system before you approach that messy room or that homework or the bedtime or whatever your triggers are. Please just reset your nervous system. Try to understand what it is that you are triggered about, and breathe, calm down, do what it is, and then enter that space to take on the challenge that is there. Take time if you need it. And remember, nothing is urgent every single day. There's nothing that is a crisis. If you take 2 minutes extra for yourself, you will be able to handle 10 more things. So don't think that you are being selfish, or don't think that, oh my God, how can I do this? My child is needing me. My child is waiting. Take time if you need it. Nothing is that urgent. Learn to say no. Sometimes you can say, you know what, no, I don't feel like doing this. I need to sleep a little extra, or no, I can't do this. I need to meet a friend for coffee. It's absolutely okay to prioritize yourself. And very importantly, prioritize your sleep, prioritize your rest, and prioritize. Try your best to let things go. Don't like nitpick on everything. You need to start picking your fights with your children. Don't pick every single fight. So, for example, if your child says that I want to first play football and then do my homework, as long as the homework is eventually done, don't be very rigid about, no, this has to be done first, this has to be done second. As long as your child is able to finish what they need to, give flexibility within the boundaries that you have set. Let things go. If your child rolls their eyes at you, don't say, why do you roll your eyes at me? Let it go. Unless you feel that it was done publicly or it was done unnecessarily or whatever it is, sometimes let things go and pick the right fights. If we pick every single fight, we'll be in a state of conflict every single day. Celebrate the little wins. Don't look for the big things. Oh my God, my child is going to come home and share this with me. Those are the big things. Think of the little things that your child does that shows you that they care. Think of the little things that your child is achieving on a daily basis, whether it's with academics, with their friends, with sport, with family, themselves, whatever it is. Look for the little wins every single day. And that is what is going to help you be most positive when you look at your parenting journey. Next, please. Now, why do our children behave like this? It is not because they are trying to make our life miserable. It is because their brain has not yet fully developed. The prefrontal cortex develops by the early 20s. So even when your child goes off to college, even when your child is legally an adult, they are still developing. The prefrontal cortex is something that is responsible for self-control, social understanding, planning and organizing, critical thinking, focus and attention, decision making, working memory, and problem solving. All the things that cause teenagers to go all over the place and, do all different things, where they have lack of impulse control, or their social skills are a problem, or they're not able to plan and organize, they're not able to solve problems, their decision making skills stress us out. So this is not because they are trying to make your life miserable. It's because they are still developing, and that part of the brain has not yet developed. So the next time you get stressed, please tell yourself that I will get stressed if my child has not developed all these things, even in their early 20s. Until then, it is very normal for your child to struggle with some of these things. Next, please. Now, just let's remember that behavior is the messenger. When our child is behaving a particular way, they are just trying to communicate something. Try to understand the feeling behind the behavior. Warning signs are often very subtle. Okay, we need to be more vigilant. We need to read between the lines, try to understand the body language, understand what the child is not saying. Positive homes are built on presence, boundaries, empathy, and laughter. Make your home a happy place. Don't let it be like a dictatorship or like an army camp that you're trying to run through your to-do list. Remember, self-care is not a luxury. It is something that we all need to do. Please always focus on connection and not being right. Sometimes it's okay for us to tell our child, you know what, you were right. I was wrong about this. Try not to parent from ego. Remember that it's important for your child to see you as human, not to be, egoistic. Sometimes children say something and our ego gets hurt. Like, how can my child talk to me like this? Sometimes understand that it is not about you, and guide your child in a way that you would like them to at a later stage. Childhood is a very short season. Okay, so you be selfish and create positive memories, because before you know it, your child will no longer be a child. And all that you are going to be left with is memories of your child's childhood. So invest in it and be very selfish. Create tons and tons and tons of positive, happy memories with your child. Next, please. And the last thing I'd like to leave with you is this thought that while children will eventually grow out of childhood, you will never ever grow out of parenthood. Think of it, your parents are still parenting you. They moved into the role of being a grandparent, but they are still parenting you. So the journey of parenthood never ever ends. So while it is challenging sometimes to be the parent of a teenager, just know that it will pass. So be positive and remember that it is a journey worth investing in. So I wish you all the very best in your parenting journey. Thank you. I can take any questions that you have. Anybody?
Participants, if we have any questions for Piya, please put it in the chat box. Do we have any questions for the speaker today?
If you have any questions that you want to ask me even at a later point, feel free to reach out to me. You have my Instagram handle. You can message me on that. You can message me through my website. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions, because my entire goal is to help parents enjoy the parenting journey. So please, feel free to ask. I know sometimes that on a public forum, it becomes very hard to kind of ask questions. So if you feel uncomfortable, you can definitely message me privately and ask. Sneha, there's somebody's put a message here saying, please check messages on RTT. There are many questions.
One of our participants, Pragya, is asking how to handle constant talking back. Yeah.
Okay, so the talking back, like I said, is first of all them trying to assert themselves and trying to say, you know what, I'm not a child. You can't constantly tell me what to do. They're trying to, show their autonomy. They're trying to show that, you can't, I'm also grown up and I'm not a baby anymore. You can't tell me what to do. So it's very, very important for you to guide that and not pick every single fight. If your child is constantly talking back, you can tell them that you can tell me whatever you want. You can talk back to me as much as you want, as long as you are respectful in your tone. Your choice of words are respectful. That is what you need to tell them. So you're not telling them, don't talk back to me. You're telling them, you can talk to me. You can argue with me, but there is a healthy way in which you can do it. So when you do that, immediately you can then guide your child about the right choice of words, the right body language, the way they need to make eye contact, no banging doors, things like that. So the constant talking back is a very normal part of teenage life, but it's important for us to guide them about how they need to do it.
Okay.
And is grounding teenagers a good way to discipline them? So when we talk about grounding, I don't know what you mean. I mean, are you trying to say that, not letting them be spoiled or entitled? It is very, very challenging for us as parents today, because our children all come from a life of plenty. They have far more choices than we ever had. So it becomes very hard for us to balance that out. So yes, it is important for us to teach our child how to exercise choice. Despite their privilege, it's important for us to teach them how to be respectful to people of all statuses, all types of people, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, boys, girls, fat, thin, poor, rich. So that is the way we can ground them. Today, denying them of things is not necessarily a way of grounding them, but teaching them how to be grateful for the things they have. That is a way that we can do that. Right. How to handle their tantrums while a mother is also facing menopause? Well, that makes two of us. So it is very, very hard. I know, because, as women today going through the hormonal changes and the teenagers going through their hormonal changes, please normalize it. Talk to your child and say, you know what, I'm going through this. Sometimes my reactions are because my body is going through things, my hormones are out of control. It is okay to normalize it and talk to them about it. So please talk to your child and let them know what you're going through. And obviously, you will then be able to kind of connect, when your child understands, they'll be more empathetic towards you. Okay, my son keeps asking me for a phone. I haven't gotten one yet, but I wonder whether he'll fall out with his peer group. So I don't know how old your child is, but I think giving a phone is more about your child's ability to be mature and to handle what comes with the phone, because the phone is not just a device, it is going to be their world into social media, WhatsApp groups, multiple things. So as long as your child is mature enough to be able to handle the pressures of all those digital social pressures that come, you could give your child the phone. But whenever you give your child the phone, please remember that it is not your child's right. It is a luxury that they have, and you must have very, very clear boundaries around it about when the phone can be used, how long it can be used, what apps they can use, how they conduct themselves online is very, very important. You know, having a presence on social media or a digital presence is very normal. It's their reality today. But your child needs to know that even if you delete a message, it doesn't really go away. Even if you remove a picture, it doesn't go away. They need to learn how to be safe in the digital world. So if you feel your child has the maturity to understand those boundaries, you can give your child the phone.
Okay, we have one more question, Piya. Is there
Sure.
any mechanism to identify the brain growth of an adolescent's daughter?
No, I guess the brain growth is something that you could only do through an MRI or something like that. But is there any
Maybe
specific
mental
reason
development
for
is what they're
wanting to
trying to
know
say.
that? I mean, is there anything that the parent is seeing that makes them feel that the child is not developing appropriately? Is there a specific concern coming from this question? Will give me some context if that could be shared.
Is participant Karthik S, if you can elaborate your question in the chat, we can give one more question. My child is son is still childish now because of his behavior. He doesn't have friends at school. He's upset and having an emotional outburst. How to handle it?
So you need to explain to him how he should be behaving at his age. You need to guide him, you need to show him, you need to kind of help him with the right words, the right way of responding to people. Do a lot of role plays with them. If you're seeing your son is still childish now, you need to figure out why your child is still in that zone of being childish and not growing into the teenagers. If it's the way they talk, if it's how they talk, if it's the way they behave, you need to investigate a little bit about how it is happening and be the role model where you can kind of, talk your child through it. Do role plays like, okay, you know what, now your friend is going to say this to you. Okay, I'm your friend, I'm saying this to you, what are you going to say back? And you're going to teach them how to respond appropriately, age appropriately with their peers. And I'm sure in time, once he understands who he is, he will be able to then embrace friendship. So I know it's very, very hard when our children don't have friends at school or don't have friends, but it's let him know that every human being eventually finds friends, and that until that point you are there to be there for him.
Okay, very interesting question. How do you know it's a mood swing and not an abnormal behavior?
A mood swing is something that is going to last for a day at the best. And if it continues for a long period of time, that's when you know that it is not normal. Anything that lasts for a longer period of time and becomes more clinical in nature, where your child is having mood swings every day, it's lasting for a couple of days, going into weeks, that is not normal. One day, having a bad day, having a mood swing, we all have that. That is okay.
Okay, we'll take this last question. How to take care of kids' health when they are in teenage?
So I
Eating
think that
habits and everything.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that, that parents take a lot of care of their children in the toddler years. That they slept on time, they've eaten well, have they exercised, have they gone out? All of those things are taken care of. Somehow when our children hit the teenage years, parents say, they've grown up, now they'll figure it out. So that is our mistake. We need to focus on their health, I think, far more in the teenage years, because their body is developing very rapidly. Their brain is developing, their hormones are all over the place. So please prioritize your child's sleep. Please, as far as possible, no phones in the bedroom at night. Let them use their phone, and then the phone gets kept outside in your room or in the hall, and then they go to sleep. Make sure that they are sleeping, make sure that they are eating Of course, the pull of junk food is there. Balance it out. So you know what? You can have junk food for this meal, but then for this meal, you have to promise me you're going to do this. So if you reason with your child and you teach them balance, things become far easier.
Lovely. Okay. So, and with that, we come to an end of our webinar. Thank you so much, Piya, for helping us understand the importance of mindful parenting and how it is impacting us on day-to-day basis. And thank you so much, parents, for joining us today. And we hope this webinar has given you meaningful insights and practical tips to practice the art of mindful parenting. On behalf of VIBGYOR Group of Schools, your participation and engagement really means a lot to us. If you have any further questions or you wish to speak to us, please feel free to reach out to us on 600 3700. And before you go, we have already shared a feedback form. We would love to hear your thoughts. Please help us filling this feedback form and help us create a future sessions such like these which will matter to you. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for being the part of this conversation. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you.